Sup, you chuckle fucks? It's your boy Dr. Raku here with What If Issei was a part of wait, let me say again. Well, was from a gangster and mostly mafia slash gangster family. But yeah, part 2. Other than that, let me begin. This is What If. Let me shut the fuck up. And yeah, so we begin into mostly Issei fixing up his motorcycle, because since he's expelled, he can do whatever. Like, who's going to stop him? And who's actually literally going to stop him? Because there's no way in hell that there's many people in the school that will actually try to stop him. Or anyone who will actually try to stop him. No one. Not even Sona, because Sona has already expelled him. He's already sent Carter towards mostly that place. And he's right now fixing up his motorcycle to make it much faster. This is where, well, we go into mostly him just looking at this. But of course, mostly we go into, him kind of just dealing with this shit. His purplish dark eyes are looking at his, motorcycle that he's building right now. And this is where, his dark violet abyss eyes are just looking at it. Now, all his family members does have different colored eyes. His is just a little bit different. It's kind of similar to that of his oldest brother, but not much. His oldest brother had black eyes, while he has mostly just dark abyss violet eyes. But not the point. This is where he sighs and kind of wondering, should he kind of go back to the territory or not? He does kind of like living here, not needing to deal with that many idiots. But he does get bored off this place. Kinda. He probably just visit here for mostly vacation days when he doesn't need to be dealing with some of the gangster stuff or other things, biker gangs, whatever. He's just thinking, Nathan just mostly jumps up after kind of been sitting there for a while, fixing up his motorcycle, and turns it on. Vroom, vroom, vroom. But yeah, this is where, he grins, puts on some headphones with some music, and pretty much what he's hearing is just called this. Pretty much this is how the bike kind of looks like, but of course instead of being red, it's kind of like a darkish purple, with the kind of wheels being darkish purple, but yeah. And yes, it does glow, but not the point. But this is what, we go into mostly Issei kind of just turning it on, This is where, it does kind of sound like purplish lightning also kind of hitting the ground. This is where, he doesn't really care. And this is where, he starts kind of getting on it. And this is where he puts on his helmet. His helmet's actually customized. You see here, he has music kind of in the helmet, so it does play. While mostly his phone is on the motorcycle, on a kind of holding case, but yeah, he can put it in there. It's a little cube block place, but yeah. It tells him the hour, tells him everything, but yeah, it also does play the music, but whatever. And of course, he does have the mirrors and other things, but yeah. This is where, it does have him a back camera so he can see behind him also. Also a front camera, side cameras also, so he can capture anything that was trying to hit him or whatever. Or yeah, you get the point. Just any accident that might happen. Also, all of it will be saved up into his computer that's in his house, but yeah, so it won't be lost into the footage into his phone, just in case he lost his phone, but whatever. Also, anything that's in the data in his phone would be also in his computer. It would be kind of safe, everything. But yeah, he saves every single little detail in his phone. He's more careful than anyone in his family. He's literally so careful. But of course, we go into Issei just turning that shit on and start driving. This is where, I should mention the clothes that he's wearing. So it was the next day that basically he got home yesterday and started fixing it this morning and the next day. So this is the next day, just fixing it up. And this is where, mostly while Issei is dealing with what's it called, and just driving, this is where, he does have his, mostly, I should mention what clothes he's wearing, but yeah. Pretty much he's wearing a black kind of coat on him with mostly black shirt. But of course, he also has black pants, black jeans with mostly these mostly black boots that he wears sometimes. So pretty much the black kind of coat does have a symbol of mostly his gang. And of course he managed to get this customized because, the clothing that he kind of had a long time ago when he was about 9 to 10, he can't fit in it. He's way too old. So of course, he swear dropping. He's okay, damn it, whatever. This is where, we go into mostly Issei kind of just mostly getting it customized. But yeah, luckily there was someone that actually was okay with customizing delinquent clothing in Kuo. But yeah, that, and he can't really remember how to actually kind of do a lot of things when he was younger. Because when he was younger, he was much more active and actually having to repair stuff by his own. But since he had school, he had barely any time to deal with shit like that. Because of his stupid father and his goddamn little contract bet that he had to do. He sighs, but whatever. Now he's actually, his mostly coat's pretty long, but not the point. It does have a hood, because why not? He's actually right now riding around Kuo, just having the motorcycle just blast. Doesn't work. Well, he's just driving around because yeah, he's expelled. Today is actually a Thursday. Yesterday was a Wednesday, but this was a Thursday. He's just driving around. Yeah, he doesn't care. This is where, well, he sees red lights, green lights, whatever. You get the point. He just rushes through if it's a red light. Like if it's a kind of like red light that's turning green, he just goes. But yeah, he doesn't stop. He doesn't slow down. He doesn't care. This is where, well, he keeps driving around, kind of reckless, but not the point. He just loves the whole thrill of just driving reckless. It's been such a long time that since he did something like this. He does kind of repair the bike and other things in some cases and just drives it around just to test around, but mostly since he doesn't have school, he doesn't need to worry about schoolwork, paperwork, or whatever bullcrap. He's right now just driving. But yeah, you get the point. This is where, well, mostly he's just driving. This is where, well, a group of people, well, mostly a group of girls are kind of just like sweat shopping because a lot of third years were kind of taken out yesterday. So of course, this is where like 3 of them had it to kind of represent for half the third year female population to kind of, well, make cards for the third years to kind of become better or whatever, and don't hope for them to drop out. But yeah. This is where they're, well, mostly not driving, mostly they're kind of walking to the hospital. And this is where, well, mostly Issei does remember that he has to go pay the fucking bill of how many people that he can knock the fuck out. So, of course, he gets over there. This is where they see a motorcycle that's, like, really customized. The person seems to be customized his outfit. That's where he takes off his helmet and they, I should probably also put air holes into this mask, not gonna lie. I could barely even breathe. This is where he puts down the mostly helmet on top of the motorcycle. And this is where he gets his phone. Right now looks at how much money he has. Yeah, he has enough to actually pay for the whole bill of hospital of how many people he knocked out. Same for how many the Garu knocked out. But not the point. This is where, well, we go into mostly a time skip of mostly Issei kind of just saying, still so tiring. So whatever. Well, of course, we go into mostly Issei kind of just like mostly getting off. Of course, this is where he kind of like puts electricity field around his like mostly motorcycle, just so no one can try to take it or whatever. And this is where he goes into mostly the like front office of like the the front office of the hospital. The 3 girls right now looks at this person confused. He has kind of blackish hair. His outfit seems to be kind of that of a delinquent. At the same time, he seems to be walking like a proper gentleman somewhat. Like if he owns a lot of things. His motorcycle is quite mostly quite expensive. That with also the electricity fields on there, and this where whatever. That's where they kind of just walk towards most of the hospital, just trying to ignore this person until they realize who the face of the person. This is where the person said, well, mostly nurse at the front office says, can I know who you're visiting? Oh no, I'm here to just pay the hospital bills for half of Kuwa's third years. Yeah, we did need a kind of a report help for that. Are you the one to? Yeah, I was the one to knock the fuck out of all of them. They all pissed me off. They all wanted to smoke, and so I kicked the shit out of them. But whatever. Yes, can you confirm that your name is Issei Hiro? Yes, the name is Issei Hiro. Okay, can I see your ID? Oh yeah, I just got it renewed a while ago, so here. It might not be matching up with the same data one. That's just because you need to search up in Tokyo's database and mostly my name and other things. So of course you can actually check and realize that I'm the same person in that one. And this is where, well, the person listens towards mostly Issei and does check out and says, okay, would you like to be paying in card, cash, or A card would be good enough. I have two kind of like credit cards, so that should be enough to kind of, well, yeah. Well, not two credit cards, two debit cards that has enough money to actually for every each other person expensive. So how much would that be? This is where, well, the person kind of calculates all of the third years and some of the, well, mostly the 2 second years name, what's it called? The two second years name, Hitani? Yeah, Hitani, the two Hitani brothers were basically not really in the hospital. They were just getting out and saying, oh, we got their ass kicked. This is where, well, it says, also, I pay for those two idiots' medical bills. Also, Hitani brothers, if you think you could just run away, I'm gonna find you, and I'll kill you this time if you two run away. Yes, sir. This is where they just stay, mostly sitting down because they're scared shitless now seeing Issei in his very kind of mostly dripped out look. But yeah. But of course, well, the nurse watch. I was thinking that's how delinquents talk to each other. This is where, well, mostly she then says it will calculate up to at least 3.5 million. That's cheaper than I thought. This is where mostly Issei does kind of like gives three mostly debit cards that should have like mostly each of them having at least 1 million. And of course, this is where another debit card. This is where, well, she says put the number. This is where Issei does put the number for each of them. This is where, well, she then nodded and says, okay, your expenses are fully mostly paid off. Would you want to be alerted if any of them gets a recovery faster so we can return some of the money? No, it's fine. Keep the money. Other than that, here, you can keep this card also. The 500k is still inside it. You can take it out of the bank. Just like a little check. This is where, well, the nurse kind of blushed and say, thank you. This is where, well, mostly, he says, other than that, I should be leaving. This is where, well, mostly, Ethan noticed, well, Iris, Estef, and even, what's it called, the pinkish hair girl named, Miyamasa. But yeah, mostly, or no, Miyamasa, her name is, what's it called? Her name is Miyamoto. Of course, there's another person, like, there with them. Of course, the pinkish hair is, like, pinkish blondish, and with another person with kind of, like, pinkish hair and bluish eyes. She's also there, and her name is, what's it called? Miyaku, that's her name. And this is where, well, mostly, Issei says, what are 4 third years of, what's it called, Kuwa doing here? Also, what's with all those, like, different letters? This is where, well, mostly Iris kind of scoffs and says, if you must know, delinquent, this is for mostly some of the third years you decide to send to the hospital. Issei chuckles saying, yeah, I did send them all to the hospital. Quite funny. Literally, that should be actually quite a record of mine. Literally sending 100 delinquents, 100 students of mostly Kuo straight to the hospital, especially third years. It's quite embarrassing for a second year like me to kick the shit of them. Especially when I'm only 5'7" and some of them should be bigger than me. Stupid weaklings. Nothing but just monkeys in my opinion. Other than that, I should probably be going. This is where another third year appears. This is where she says, you forgot some of the cards. Her name is Dungeon, and of course she's a third year, but she's a delinquent. She noticed Issei. Issei noticed Dungeon, and this is where both of them just like narrowed their eyes. Which mostly Issei said, whatever. I don't have time to be fighting against female delinquents. Hitani brothers, get over here. This is where they said, yes sir. This is where, well, mostly Issei needed information really bad. Really fast and really bad on what's happening in Tokyo. So what is exactly happening in Tokyo? They're right now outside and talking. This is where, well, mostly the two brothers right now talk really fast. But of course, this is where Issei tells them to shut up and slow down. Because it's pissing them off because they're talking really fast. They're nervous. Of course, when fighting against one of the kind of 5 brothers of mostly, mostly the family of, well, the Sano family / Kuragawa family / mostly Hyoto family / Fujiwara family, and yeah. There's another, what's it called, family member, and that family member is called but yeah, there's supposed to be more families in what's it called, the 5 brothers, but yeah. Issei's last name, Hyoto, is not supposed to be Hyoto, but not the point. It's something else, but they're really scared to even say it, but yeah. But of course, well, he says, now, understanding what's happening in Tokyo, it will make me have a better understanding and what I'm going to be doing with mostly the other 4. Since I know their territory is quite big and I'm not trying to get involved with their territory because they're either trying to convince me to go into their territory, or try to push me a little further way out of their ways to try to get into another fight with most of my other brothers. This is where all the two Hanin, the Hatin, whatever. The two brothers decide to not end this where, well, they explain what exactly is happening to Mikey, what is happening towards Izana, what is happening to mostly Toji, well not Toji, mostly the other one. Now, not really Toji, his name is something else. This is where, well, they're talking about the other, and this is where, well, of course, where, well, he's trying to calculate it. Of course, both Izana and Mikey will be fighting. They will have so much of a grudge of each other. Don't know what that grudge is, but I know it's stupid in some kind of point away. Let's see. That's there. Let's see. Calculating. Well, I'll try to figure out more about this later. You two can leave. But shouldn't we... You two, I said you can leave. Do you want me to hurt you so bad to the point that you're going to have to go back into the hospital? Nope. We're okay. This is where you should run off. I know you heard all that, you 5 girls. You know, it's quite bad for people like you to be hearing things of delinquent styles. You know, you could get hurt. This is where one girl actually scoffed, and that being Dodgen. This is where Dodgen says, you think I'm just some kind of poor little defenseless girl or something? What, are you trying to pick a fight with me? Second year? If I was a second year, I would still be in school. But I'm not. I was expelled. Since I kicked the shit out of a bunch of third years. Which is funny. I literally broke them all. That's where Issei grins. That's where Dodgen glares at Issei, which mostly her reddish eyes meet mostly Issei's kind of like purplish amethyst eyes. They're almost clearly to be that of the abyss. Issei said, well, I shouldn't be picking a fight with another third year of Kuo, because I know Sona would be pissed. Other than that, I should be going. Now, if you do not mind me, ladies, I'm gonna be going. This is where Issei puts on his motorcycle, put on some music, and this is where, well, he then turns on his motorcycle and just drives off. But yeah, he did turn off the electricity field and just kind of went, but yeah, he just drives off, but yeah, into the sunset. Never to be seen again. But until next day, well, it's the next day, it's Friday, but this is where Issei is wondering what to do on Friday. Because Saturday is when he's actually going back to Tokyo. But for right now, I'm gonna leave it off here for mostly part 2 of this What If. I know it's short. Other than that, bye soon. Yeah, I wanted to explain that kind of on mostly part 1, but I didn't get time. So yeah, bye. Other than that, yeah.